So what happened to the school itself? Why did one-room schools start to go away? The answer begins with the progressive movement of the early 20th century. We associate that with the presidents. That would be Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, and Woodrow Wilson. And at the city level, we associate it with social reforms that tried to clean up cities for boards of health and new forms of transportation and voting reform, et cetera. But there was a countryside progressivism too, and it was targeted at the one-room school. The one-room school was called inefficient. It was called dirty. So there were state laws passed about the size that the school had to be, requiring outhouses, and most of all, state laws either encouraging or requiring consolidation. That is, combining different one-room schools into larger ones. And the progressives used statistics. That was their favorite mode of argument. So in the classic progressive cartoon about schools, you would have a rural kid, and he'd be describing his school, and he'd say it only goes 7 months of the year, and the teacher has lousy pay, the teacher has very little experience, there's no library. But then you look at the other side, you look at the urban side, and look at that well-dressed young cosmopolite. And look at the school behind him, which is not just a school, it's a temple, right? Look at those pillars. And of course, his term is longer, the teacher makes more, he's got a library. So they would use this kind of argument, and they would also use historical pageants. And you see a good example in this a cover of a school journal. You can see that the girl is looking back fondly at the one-room schoolhouse, but everybody who looks at this image well understands that her school, the consolidated school that you can see behind her, is superior. So the progressives wrote articles with titles like "The Little Red Schoolhouse is a Fake," and they take aim at the sentiment industry, because if they're going to persuade Americans to consolidate their schools, they're going to have to wean them off these romantic images. And they tried. They had a good deal of success because many schools were consolidated, but not in the Midwest. And into the New Deal, into the 1930s, you can see a similar kind of dynamic. You can see reformers taking aim at the one-room school.